First off, I can say that this work was taken at a time where doing something called putting your work in syndication was a very big part of what I thought would be my career, and I can explain more. You heard from Getty Images. I was actually contracted with Getty Images at the same time. Putting your work in syndication means it can be resold. So I was basically putting it in a stock database like Getty and trying to get other magazines and newspapers to pick up these images for money. And when you have celebrity photography, that is a really good way to do it. There's other people who do stock photography, which is just, they'll shoot like models on a white backdrop doing like actions, like a businessman with a coffee cup, and then like you put that into, you get all the proper releases signed, you put it into syndication, then like maybe a website might buy that image. It's just another way to make money. I didn't talk about that because I don't currently do that much because I shoot so much fashion for brands. I sort of lose the right to resell things when I do that because it's so specific. Anyway, sorry, the question, I felt like I should address that a little. Oh yeah, no, yes, I've definitely had images stolen. I used to stress over it a lot more. When I would shoot these bands for MTV, sometimes the record label would go onto the MTV website and then use the image promoting their band. And then MTV, because they were such a solid partner with me, would actually contact the band's management for me. And most of the time, people would take it down. There were a few cases where people weren't aware of that I had the rights to these images and fought me on it. And so I would just send them invoices, which is technically, I'm not sure if the lawyers will agree, but that's a legal document. And I'm sending them invoices for the cost of what it would cost to run the photo. And I'm sending fair, and they're not paying me, and they're not paying me. After a while, they just ended up taking the image down. And unfortunately, you could either take major legal action for something small time like this that would only maybe, at best, be a couple of $100s to shut you up, or you could just let it go and feel like you have a personal win. So a lot of what I dealt with were the personal wins, saying, please take it down. Most people apologize, honestly, and say, sorry, we didn't know, we couldn't use this. But copyright stuff's a big deal. I think it's a great point about social media, too. You should know your rights. You shouldn't just put things up. I feel, I haven't seen a case yet where someone had something they put on Instagram become an ad campaign for someone else or something like that. I'm hoping it doesn't happen to me first. But I do keep my eye on that kind of thing. I would very quickly dismiss the typical social networks if they were abusing photographers' rights like that. Maybe I'm just playing the odds. Or maybe I'm just prepared to sue someone if they stole something. But it is a big issue, and it is something to look for. I've also found that because of the way the internet's working now, I'm just less reluctant to let people take images if they're just displaying them because maybe they just like the image. As long as they put credit on it, I kind of just let it go at this point because I'm making money doing other things. And as long as it's not a giant brand putting their logo on it, then I tend to look the other way.
Аз ще обърна към Бен, понеже моите въпроси са към него. Ти току-що каза нещо много хубаво, именно, че не искаш да бъдеш първия фотограф, който прави рекламна кампания в Instagram. И всъщност за мен и този въпрос, повдигнат от адвокатите, показва всъщност, че дигиталната сфера представлява някакво предизвикателство за фотографията, тъй като някакъв начин снимките там кръжат свободно. От тази гледна точка аз исках те питам от самото начало, всъщност, ако имаш възможност да избираш, би ли предпочел да снимаш повече неща, които са само на хартия, списания, да кажем, спрямо нещата, които са в интернет, по сходни причини?
Well, in terms of the film versus digital question, I think digital photography is a very powerful tool, and it is very practical. It serves its purpose beautifully. A lot of the images in the show are digital, and a handful are film. And I don't have a preference to the means to making the image, as long as it's the right tool for the right job. So I like that I shot the Jacques magazine images on film because I think it speaks to the type of work, and I think film is absolutely beautiful. But I don't think it's practical, and I think it slows people down. And now with the way things work, they'd publish the image tomorrow. I've had magazine shoots be shot one day. There's an image I have of a rapper named A$AP Rocky. Maybe it's here. Yes, I have it. I shot this image, and I shot this whole shoot. It was like a huge shoot with a ton of different scenarios. I retouched it and turned it in. I was up till like 5 in the morning. I turned it in so it could go to print the next day, because we got this shoot last minute, and we wanted it. And we wanted it out that month, because we were going to shoot this rapper first. So digital is incredible. I was able to actually pull off the impossible. Film would have made that literally impossible. Even just getting the film back would have taken at least half a day, let alone editing and retouching for print. There was another question in there. Oh, about not wanting to be the first photographer to be ripped off by Instagram. Look, I know that they actually have some aggressive rights built into their user agreements, but they also have said publicly that they're not going to go and just make images into ad campaigns. I don't necessarily take Instagram's word for anything, but I think they would lose a huge base of professionals that have actually been a big part of contributing to that app's success. It's kind of given the app a high-end, it's like a new way of blogging. It's just, it's important for them to have these people on there to make not everything just a picture of food or like a bad selfie. So, you know, again, like I hope that they live up to their word. I don't understand why they would have such aggressive rights written into their user agreement, but I actually truly don't believe that they would be dumb enough to do it even once, because all they need is a major bad publicity, and it hurts them. Why would they want to hurt themselves when they're doing well without that? And there's also plenty of brands buying in and sneaking advertising into social media now, so they have their revenue streams. I don't think they're going to need to actually be thieves to continue to make money. I think that they are completely doing a great job of making money without theft involved.
Окей. След малко ще си поговорим за интересни неща от творческата сфера, когато списанията и рекламните агенции работят с фотографии. Сега искам да дам думата на доцент Динамир Предов, който е директор на фотолаборатория в Нов български университет, доцент по реклама и художествена фотография. Да.
Искам да се намеся в този интересен разговор, който започна и по някакъв начин взе да клони в посока към авторските права, за да уточним още някои неща. Освен авторските права на фотографа, съществуват права, които се наричат model release. На всеки човек, който е сниман на една снимка, за да може да бъде използвано неговото изображение, той трябва да предостави срещу заплащане или доброволно правата на автора или на медията, която е поръчала снимките. Според българското законодателство, авторските права на една фотография са на продуцента, който е поръчал да се реализира конкретна сесия. Значи трябва да уточним тези неща, защото е важно, особено за по-младите колеги. Освен това съществува понятието property release, или примерно, ако снимаме тази зала, трябва да има разрешението на собственика или архитекта. Ако в изображението има картина от някой художник и ако не са минали 70 години и са запазени авторските права, също трябва да получим това разрешение. Тая тема е доста широка и, за съжаление, нашето законодателство не е изчистило добре в тази посока правата на различните автори, артисти, които участват в този процес. И нещо друго, което искам така да не ви губя повече времето, по отношение на Инстаграм. Въобще не е необходимо да се вземат директно снимки от Инстаграм, а това, което правят някои по-интелигентни рекламни агенции, те просто имитират тези снимки. Значи това има доста примери в рекламния бизнес, не от скоро, от доста дълго време, когато тази интуитивна фотография се имитира от професионалисти и се постигат добри рекламни резултати. Толкова по тези две теми.
Добре, ще дам думата на адвокатите да се включат. Заповядайте.
Така наречената портретна фотография, когато се изисква разрешението, съгласието на човека, който се снима, съобразно българския закон, принципно автор на портретните фотографии е фотограф. И той има всичките задължително неимуществени права, т.е. той да бъде назован като автор. В зависимост от това дали фотографията е извършена по поръчка или не, вече се определят имуществените права, т.е. възнаграждение и така нататък. Принципно при портретната фотография обикновено моделът дава своето. То е същото и в Европейския съюз.
Не е същото. Значи в Европейския съюз, примерно във Франция, спазването на тези правила е различно. Значи и в Европейския съюз съществуват други правила, които би трябвало да подчинят нашето законодателство. Така че, примерно, в Get Images той не може да качи нито една от неговите снимки, ако няма писмено съгласие на всеки един от неговите модели.
Да,
не може да е продава.
Тоест, съобразно и българския закон е така. Вие трябва да имате или писмено съгласие, или срещу възнаграждение, или да се докаже чрез свидетели. Принципно съветваш всеки да има, както предполагам, че и по-големите агенции, както предполагам Списание Вайс, когато господин Ритър е снимал за тях, и имало такъв релиз форм, който те дават своето съгласие да бъдат снимани. Оттам нататък вече модела той няма право да изисква възнаграждение за по-нататъчното използване на снимката, тъй като то не е автор. Съобразно българския закон, автор е фотограф.
Фотографа, когато го каните за дадена реклама или рекламна кампания, как работите с фотографите, Галина?
Здравейте! За мен е много голямо удоволствие да работя с фотографии и работя с малко, но се старая да съм най-добри. Наскоро с Павката Червенков имах удоволствието и още пазя топлия спомен от процеса. И всъщност аз имам въпрос към Бен. За това взаимодействие, защото ти спомена колко важна е средата, как сте израснали с твоите колеги, някои от тях арт-директори. Когато работиш с приятели или с съмишленици е по-лесно, но когато те наемат от хора, които не познаваш, как те оценяват работата ти, доколко имаш свободата на интерпретация, защото арт-директора се предполага, че създава или екипа в агенцията създават концепция и фотографската работа е интерпретация. И веднъж е важно взаимодействието между тези два екипа, фотографа и агенцията, но след това идва и клиента, който може да има много изненадваща гледна точка при вече свършена работа.
Absolutely, when you're hired by a client, they are your boss, and you're there to make them happy. And I've never ever taken a job into my own hands where I said, no, client, I'm going to do it this way. I get as much input from a client as I can before a shoot. A lot of the time they do it by sending you maybe an inspiration board of other shoots they like. They're going to, if it's an ad campaign, they're going to send you a pitch deck, which is just all about the campaign that you're doing. And then as a photographer, they're going to probably expect you to write a proposal back to them about how you're going to go about achieving what the specific shots they need are. So by the time you show up on set, even if I've never met anyone, we're on the same page. We agree how we are going to do X, Y, Z, because when it's an ad campaign specifically, there's a lot of money on the line. And you can't waste it. And you can't waste time either, because in photography, studios, equipment rentals, and personnel all cost money per day. So it's, you know, it's when I was talking about working with friends, I really mean associates, and you know, it's often that you'll be familiar with people you're working with when you work in a certain environment. But when you're out of that zone, I still have the same approach to the day. I start by checking in with the client, and then I talk to the hair, makeup stylist about how I think what they're doing is going to look in terms of how I'm going to direct a shoot on the client's behalf. But it truly, the client isn't at the forefront the whole time. When I'm shooting for Adidas, I'm thinking, does this feel like Adidas? When I'm shooting for, who do I have here today? Garnier, does this feel like Garnier? Am I showing the product being applied the right way? Am I showing the right vibe? So yeah, it's definitely, it's not your art project. And it's why I don't really call myself an artist. I specifically am a photographer, and I am there to be just that. And there's so many different hats a photographer wears. You do your own PR, you manage a set, you direct the models, you make sure everyone's happy. I even pick what music's going to be on because I think that it'll create the right environment and right vibe for the client, the model, and the staff to keep the energy up. I like to put on rap music. It keeps everyone going all day. Does that answer the...
Да. Благодаря ти. Така или иначе се интересувах от твоята гледна точка. Разбира се, ти споменаваш клиенти, които са много зряли като марки. Тоест, много естествено за тебе да знаеш, когато снимаш за Adidas, какво значи да влезеш в духа на марката. Тук не е точно така. Марките в общи линии те първо уточняват духа си, откриват духа си. И в това отношение творческите екипи работят понякога много на тъмно. Но другото нещо, което мен лично много ме интересува, е до каква степен интерпретираш нечия чужда идея. До каква степен си позволяваш да интерпретираш чуждата идея, защото творческата работа няма как да се дефинира. Тоест, когато има много хора, всеки има своята гледна точка и крайният резултат никога не е плод на само една гледна точка.
Okay. So that's another good question. The interpreting ideas is exactly what I do when I'm working with a client, because that's what clients do. They come up with ideas. It's not their job to know no one's going to tell me what lens or what lights to use. I have to know that. I have to understand the feeling of the work that the client needs me to produce on their behalf. So that comes with the territory, and I think when you start to create your own style and have strong portfolios that reflect a certain type of work, you're going to get hired because of the work you've done. I'm not going to get hired to shoot a ad campaign for for like a car company because I've never shot cars for a living. You know, even if the ad agency thinks I'm an amazing photographer, they're going to reserve me for maybe a sportswear brand or maybe something more youth-oriented or a clothing company that sells to a certain demographic. So I think that when I'm getting hired, they already have put me into the mix as someone who could probably understand where they're coming from. And then when they're going to give me their ideas, that's when I'm going to write my proposal to them, and I'm going to say, well, here's how we should do that. We do it on this location, or we do it in a studio and bring in this set designer, or maybe we bring in, we create, oh man, I wish I had a shoot with me. One time a client needed us to make it look like we were at a music festival, but there were no music festivals in New York City at that time, and we weren't going to fly there were none anywhere. There was no way to do this and shoot an ad campaign and have a crowd full of people agree to be in the campaign, which is something that came up there. It was for alcohol beverage. And so we tried to pitch, well, we'll throw one of our party-looking shoots and we will call it a day. We'll get a bunch of people to look like they're drinking the alcohol. We've done it before, we can do it again. And they said, no. We needed to look like a club environment. We needed to look like so we had less than 2 days to do this, honestly. So we rented a photo studio, we rented a DJ booth, we rented a DJ lights, we rented a bunch of smoke machines, and we got every single person we knew. So let's call it this room turned into we put black curtains everywhere, had disco lights everywhere, and a DJ actually playing music, and we got everyone as drunk as we could, and we shot an ad campaign because that's what they needed us to do. And I swear, these photos, you would think it's like the craziest nightclub with everyone's hands up in the air that you've ever seen, and it's because the client forced us to do it. Like we were like, no, we can't. That's not possible. We're not going to do it. And then because we had the resources, and because we're crazy enough, we just said, fine, like, let's do it. How bad could it be? You know, we took a gamble that day, but it was a calculated gamble because everyone we were working with knew how to pull this off. So, you know, it's really, it's about interpreting ideas and really listening to the client, because sometimes they're not saying, would you do this? They're saying, you have to do this. And when you do it, it feels pretty good. So it's worth going for.
Да, thank you. От сега мисля, че е точно момента да дадем думата и на един от клиентите. Савина Новакова, менеджер маркетингови кампании на VIVACOM.
Аз представлявам един бизнес, който е доста динамичен, с един огромен обем кампании се движим всяка една година. Една много тъжна статистика ще се наложи да споделя. Миналата година сме направили около 74-75 комуникационни кампании. Разбира се, във всяка една от тях сме имали принт визии, използвали сме фотографски услуги, но за съжаление в почти всичките от тях ние трябваше да ползваме имидж банки. Имахме изключително рядък шанс, много малко време имахме, за да разработим собствени визии, което е нещо, което всеки и ние, и нашата агенция би желала да имаме време. Само мисля, че около 3 фотосесии успяхме да направим и естествено причината за това беше не, че нямаше идеи имаше страхотни, просто нямахме време. И затова искам да попитам Бен, когато той работи с комерциални проекти за реклами, какво е времето, с което разполага, за да се реализира един проект, една фотосесия?
Usually, because people, maybe it's just because of me and I'm the person turning in shoots the next day, because I've set a bad, you know, you set the precedent with your client sometimes, so they're like, oh, he'll do it the next day, then they're going to get you to do that every time. A lot of the ad work I've shot has been very last minute. I mean, if you need me to put together a shoot in 2 days, I can do it because, again, I have the experience. I have a lot of options in terms of staffing a shoot. I know the studios. It's not easy. It's not hard for me to connect with everyone I need to connect with. Also, when you get at a certain level, you bring in producers to do all this work on your behalf. Maybe they run things by you and then they'll make all the calls for you, but you're still calling all the shots. You're still saying what everything needs to be done. It can be done. Digital makes everything very, very manageable because when you set up a shoot in just 2 days, you have a lot of flexibility when you're shooting and you have a lot of flexibility in post-production. You leave the set knowing you got the shot right. I think in the old days when shooting film, and I never shot an ad campaign on film, so I can't really speak to it, but I think you had to spend a lot more time making sure the pieces were all perfect. You probably had to do test shoots leading up to it to make sure it was going to hold up. Now we can make so many quick changes and call in so many things on the fly. Even just having Google on your phone, like you're like, oh, we need a chainsaw right now. You can get one. You know, you could like, where do you go? Oh, you just go there, obviously. Things are different now. The values are different too. Work is valued at less, but you can do so much more of it that you can actually make just as good of a living. Ad campaigns used to be so overblown with how much photographers would get paid, and some still do, that it was, you know, you couldn't do things last minute. It would have been such a huge financial risk. But now it's, you know, companies do so many more shoots and there's so many more purposes for the shoots that everyone's very used to working in a hurry. So, you know, if you have a day in advance and everyone's free, then there's no reason why you can't do a shoot the next day. But give me a week, please.
I have something about this, about the client and actually, if we go back in the past, for example, let's go out from photography and from advertising. If we go, let's say, in Sistine Chapel, so the client was the Pope. I don't think that there was a worse client than the Pope. And Michelangelo had a task to paint the God. I mean, that's also a client and artist situation. And I don't think that the time was given to him. He was working under pressure, and basically there are no excuses if you want to create good work.
I think you're making very good points. I mean, but you mentioned Annie Leibovitz. I mean, like, I couldn't be further from her level. If I was Annie Leibovitz, I wouldn't shoot one goddamn product in my apartment for the rest of my goddamn life, I swear to God. But, you know, so I'm trying to talk to the reality of what could be going on behind my 40 beautiful, big, glossy images that, you know, I'm showcasing. But it's true. I mean, you do have to be progressive, and you have to be rebellious, and it's okay to not do everything by the book, because maybe some of your mistakes will turn into happy accidents. But also, I mean, Annie Leibovitz's campaigns have all looked the same for as long as I've been looking at them. So I don't think there's anything rebellious about accepting the Disney job for $500,000. I think she's just very big name and very qualified, and I have tons of respect for her body of work and her process and her results. But it's all proven, and they're hiring her because they want their campaign to look like an Annie Leibovitz campaign. I haven't seen her go, oh no, I'm going to do some wildly different thing, and then her backdrops are all put in post now, and you know, she's more of a name than a revolutionary at this point. I mean, at the time, in her early career, she had balls and was doing amazing things, but now she's being hired by creative directors because they can say, we had Leibovitz do it, and it's going to look like a Leibovitz.
We can say that her rebel time passed, which is true.
I agree.
But it was a cause of her career to become like it is. You know, she was a rebel, and that's why she is there where she is. I mean, it's a matter of choice of all of us. For example, we can all make our choice, and it's where we will go. If we take another example, if we take Vivian Maier, she chose to be a nanny and not to show her photos to anyone, and not to work for agencies, and not to... She had her own pictures for herself. Now we are admiring that work because somebody discovered it. It's also a matter of a different choice. But in all of those choices, the only thing that is kind of making them... There is the same point in all of those choices, and that's being a rebel at a certain time, at a certain point. I'm not saying that Leibovitz was a rebel when she came to Russia, shooting with us and saying to us, okay, go there, stay 10 meters away from me because I need space to think and to meditate or whatever. That was not... That's an authority, that's not being a rebel. But the rebel was the cause of having this comfort zone that she built it through the years. So this is what I was trying to say.
I completely appreciate everything you said, and I just wanted to make clear that, you know, I'm young, and there's a lot you have to do, and the bottom line is, like, if I don't pay my rent, then I'm not going to be able to live in New York City anymore, and then I can't get the opportunities I'm trying to get. And you know, if it was a different era, maybe I could be a pure artist and be happy doing other kinds of jobs and doing my work. But the truth is, I actually enjoy just being a commercial photographer, whether it's my dream job or the other, just because I appreciate that people are coming to me to work and be hired. So it's just my story and my experience, and you know, everyone should find their own way, and everyone should do what makes them happy ultimately, and you should never feel like you're selling yourself out or just being a slave to other people. You know, but I think you can present a certain thing to the world is what you do, and hope that that gets you the opportunities to be able to be in command of the situation. And then there's things you can do on your own time, whether it's using a camera to make money, shooting other types of things, or you said being a nanny, or, you know, it's just as respectable, honestly. But I personally just prefer to wake up every day and open Photoshop and retouch something, or, you know, take a client call. That's it, but thank you, I appreciate it.
Добре, thank you. Понеже Бен спомена Photoshop, мисля, че сега е момента да включим и тези, които най-много поръчват фотографии, медиите. Тук при нас е Мария Станчева, която е фоторедактор на списанията Окей и Лекция. Мария?
Обикновено, поне в опита ми, не сме имали снимки, които да не са минали поне през минимална потреба на Photoshop. За съжаление, дори много често сме обвинявани, че прекаляваме с Photoshop, се налагат нереалистични стандарти, които младите момичета трябва да спазват, което наистина е много тъжен факт. Но това е машина, с която всички се сблъскваме. И затова би ми било интересно Бен да каже през своята кариера той как е работил с Photoshop и изобщо клиентите, които е имал, какви изисквания са имали и дали наистина е трябвало да преработи снимки до степен, че те да се различават от действителността значително.
I did not talk about that. The only time I mentioned Photoshop was to point out on the Jacques magazine work that these images are not retouched. But the truth is, anything that's digital, you sort of really have to put it through post-production because raw digital files are typically just not really attractive. They show every little piece of peach fuzz on someone's face in a portrait environment. And when you're shooting a beauty campaign with a woman, it's not really flattering to be able to see hairs you can't see in real life. That's one of the problems with digital. It's too powerful and too detailed. So I go in and I knock those things out. In terms of my typical shoot day, I make sure to leave lines under the eyes, but I might soften them. You know, it's a lot of reducing what we call imperfections. But or if there's a pimple, I don't think a pimple is part of someone's personality or identity. So I'm very happy to remove that for them. And I'm talking about my work now. I've really been fortunate to be able to not have to heavily retouch my work to have it fit some standard I've set. Truly, some of these images have barely been touched. Some maybe a little more, just because of the genre they represent. But in terms of like morphing people's faces or changing the shape of their nose, I don't do that. I think that it's ugly to do that. I think it's uglier than the natural nose to do that. And I think when you're casting, that's another part of being a photographer, cast the right person for the right job. So if you don't like something about them, maybe just don't hire them in the first place. Because I know a lot of models that are really disappointed when they see the hair color product box they're on in the drugstore for the next 5 years, and it doesn't look like them. And they don't even want to tell anyone they're on it. It's an embarrassment. Making money isn't everything. That's my experience now. When I was younger, and digital was becoming very new to professionals, people were aggressively photoshopping images. That was the style because it became something everyone had access to. So I did experiment with it a lot. I think my personal portfolio with the people on the backdrops are much more heavily processed. Sorry, and especially the one of the girl all the way over there, than I would ever even consider doing now. I light things differently now. I understand faces and makeup and hair and portrait photography better than I did then. But back then I did that because I was trying to make it compete with the really high-end glossy images that were coming out. But I've definitely evolved away from it. I think that the dialogue in editorial and fashion has become very anti-Photoshop and anti-impossible standards. So a lot of the work I'm doing, actually, even with the ad work or the Bobby Brown stuff, these are all, they're all beautiful women, but these are all real women. None of them are professional models. And none of them, if you over-retouch something, Bobby doesn't approve it. So it's really just about blending the makeup better and cleaning things up. And I'm really proud of the work because I think it looks so good even without the extra fake anything. These are really natural, real pictures. I also am shooting makeup faces and have the best makeup artist in the world doing the hard work for me in a way. So that's my experience with it now. I'm very anti body shaping, I'm very anti-face morphing, and I am very pro removing pimples and stray hairs.
Може би е подходящо да зададем въпроса към адвокатите отново. Регламентира ли по някакъв начин фотошопа, постпродукцията?
Това представлява изменение на произведението. Автора има право да се противопоставя на всяко изменение на произведението му. Тоест, ако хвана да ти оправям една снимка, аз вече променям твоето произведение. Конкретна регламентация на фотошопа няма. Тъй както не можеш да промениш режимента на едно музикално произведение. Така и автор има суверенното право да не му се пипа снимката.
Тоест това вече имаме нарушаване на авторски права там.
Не имуществени авторски права, да.
I can add something. A lot of editorial and commercial model releases specifically say that the client can do whatever they want to the image with Photoshop, and models, I mean, the agent can maybe make a note, but usually they don't. Usually they cross out things like things about being able to resell the image again or use it after 1 year, but I don't often see the agents coming back and saying you can't Photoshop the image. So the models are going to sign their rights away regarding that. And that's why so many disasters do happen in advertising and editorial, because truly there's no consequence for pushing that limit when someone signs off.
Мерси. Аз имам въпрос към Цанка Крушева, която също ще се включи в тази дискусия. Тя е творчески директор на рекламна агенция Реформа. Как най-често се формулират от вас задачите към фотографа, когато работите с фотографии? За кампания и за реклама?
Ами в един приятелски разговор сядаме и разказваме каква е идеята, каква е концепцията, какво очакваме от фотографа и разбира се оставяме достатъчно място и на него да изрази своето творческо виждане, така че да не се чувства заключен в нашата идея. Като цяло всичко става много приятелски. Аз исках да питам един друг въпрос, тъй като тук колегите поизчерпаха въпросите, свързани с взаимоотношението между фотограф, рекламна агенция, клиент, адвокат и Господ. И един такъв по-лайфстайл въпрос, но все пак свързан с творческия процес. Къде и как Бен мисли своите идеи? Има ли някакво любимо място в Ню Йорк или някакъв ритуал, който такъв личен, чрез който той сяда и започва да си брейнстормва по проектите? Доколкото знам, ателието му в Ню Йорк е в Уилямсбърг, където е средището на хипстерите в Ню Йорк. И също така искам да го попитам дали по някакъв начин чувства принадлежност към тази субкултура и дали тя се отразява на работата му.
That's a big one. There's a process, and I go through processes when I'm developing things, and it usually starts from your computer, and it's a lot of emails to a lot of people, and there's no ritual. It's just getting everyone on the same page, making sure all the pieces are in place, and going over the checklist a couple of times. In terms of my inspiration, absolutely, New York City, my friends, and now Williamsburg, where I live, are a huge part of the work I do. Vice, that I spent so much time talking about earlier because of the platform they've given me, is their office is down the street from me. The company's grown massively, so they employ a ton of people in Brooklyn. I think they're actually the biggest employer in all of Brooklyn, New York now, which is quite a feat, going from being just 10 people in a small space a few years ago. Brooklyn, for anyone who hasn't seen it on the map, is huge. It's like a massive, massive place. When I did my work in Boston as a student, I didn't have the people around me. I had great friends, but they were not so eccentric and creative and energetic. It was lazier. I won't say every single reason why, but you can come to some of your own conclusions based on my friends at the top there. But in New York, people have a certain type of energy, and when they go out, there's just a freedom on the streets there, and that's really translated into my work, because so many of the people that want to work with me are looking for someone to speak to the young demographic and I'm kind of in the middle of the demographic they're trying to actually re-represent. So it's authentic, or I'd like to think it's more authentic when they have a photographer like me do the campaign with the hip people than if they had some maybe out-of-touch photographer from a different area shoot the same people in an environment. So absolutely I'm inspired, and I think that translates in the work, and I think then the client recognizes that and wants me to bring that to their brand, and then I'm inspired by the fact that they're going to pay me to do it, and I'll take the money, and then I'll make the nice images, and then I'll do it again. And that's the ritual. Just the whole big thing is the ritual. The fact that every piece has to line up for you to be able to just do it again.
Имаме един съвременен български артист, който специално за събитието е тук, дошъл от Пловдив, вокала на Gravity Co. Явор, той искаше да вземе отношение, да зададе въпрос. Явор.
Здравейте, първо благодаря на абсолютно всички, които сте дошли. Аз пътувах от Пловдив специално за това събитие, защото свирихме в Пловдив, но аз си позволих тази, деца казва така, моя привичка да избягам от групата. И повярвайте ми, това е страхотно. Но понеже съм страхотен фен на самия артист, и имам 3 въпроса, в смисъл, които са много елементарни. Първият ми въпрос е какво точно го вдъхновява, инспирира, преди да знае, че ще работи с даден артист или с даден човек или с дадена персона. Вторият ми въпрос е следния. Дали това е, което иска да снима, или може да има по наш български език криви фотографии, примерно били като имаше на времето War Child и така нататък. И третия ми въпрос е следния. Дали е запознат с артистите в дадена държава преди той да отиде там? В смисъл, мога да го кажа и на английски, но предполагам, че е по-добре да го чуем на повече хора, защото това са моите въпроси към него. Благодаря ви за което. И още веднъж много ви благодаря за това, че сте тук в България и в София. За мен е чест. Благодаря.
Може ли съм да те помоля за втория въпрос да го повториш?
Вторият ми въпрос беше следния. Дали е това, което иска да снима, смисъл хубави и красиви тела, известни личности, или трябва да се снимат дали е готов да снима по-скоро по-криви неща, като както беше кампанията War Child през 2004 и 2005, ако не се лъжа, която беше в Сараево, или може би по-рано, може да се бъркам, наистина това е мой проблем, но това е моят въпрос.
Okay. So what was the first one again? Oh, where do I find inspiration when I'm shooting celebrities? Celebrities come pre-packaged with a personality and an agenda. So if I'm shooting them on behalf of a client like MTV and Fergie's coming in, then I should probably give MTV pictures that the audience will recognize as Fergie being Fergalicious. So, you know, you want to make sure you capture that energy. With Beck, you can capture something more pensive. With Perry Farrell, maybe something more eccentric. With Bear Grylls for Maxim, the assignment was, Bear Grylls, what is your guilty pleasure? And he said, bubble bath. So we said, would you take a bubble bath? And he goes, yes. So then that's when we made the more excitement. We brought some props. But again, you're really showing their personality. It's the fun part about being a portrait photographer. You're trying to honestly represent the person in front of you. And I like to do that by getting something quirky or exciting out of them. You're going to have to you asked if I meet artists in other countries I visit. Usually when I'm... No, that was the third question. I don't remember the second one though, so we'll get back to it, unless I need to answer that one first. What was the second one? Oh, no, I like the work I'm doing. I mean, Jacques Magazine was like, I literally did that because I felt like I wasn't doing something that was really a strong photography that represented what I would like want to do if I had a dream project. Now that I've done that one, and kind of recently, I'd like for something else to come up, but I think I like shooting in the beauty and fashion and portrait vein, and I like that it always refers back to maybe my edgier street work that I've accumulated, and I would like to be able to continue to work like that. I think I have carved out a niche for myself as a cool beauty photographer. I don't think there's a ton of those that are young and also work for Vice and MTV and Adidas. So I'm sort of getting kind of attention that way, and it's good to be kind of known for something, especially in New York, where you sort of get lumped into categories. And the third question is if I meet artists in other countries, only when they're kind enough to come up and shake my hand and talk to me. I'm usually, and thank you, if I travel for work, this is an extended stay for me, and I'm only here 4 days because we've had so much to do and accomplish. A lot of the time I'll fly to London for a day to do a shoot and back. And I don't travel as much as you'd think. There's a lot of work in New York for me, so I keep really busy there. But you know, I definitely run with a crowd that attracts maybe artists or musicians. So I'm sometimes going to just end up at the same table as some nice people and get a new perspective, and I welcome that. Thanks. Thank you. Yep.
И малко. Енчо? Окей. Добре, тогава аз имам още един въпрос към Савина от VIVACOM. Какво се случва, ако предположим хипотетичната ситуация, в която клиент, като голяма телекомуникационна компания, купува имидж, образ от имидж банка, да речем, използва го за своя кампания, за City Lights, за билборди, и само след няколко дни, да речем, ресторант поръчва от същата имидж банка, купува същото лице и имаме казус, че една и съща жена рекламира два коренно различни продукта.
Да, в смисъл, че това по принцип се урежда от самите имидж банки, защото когато купуваме някакъв имидж, то е или е royalty free, в случая, може би Мария ще обясни какво означава точно, че наистина всеки може да си купи имиджа със съответна резолюция и да си го ползва за каквото иска, колкото време иска. Или е right manage, за който декларираме за какъв период от време, за какви медии, за колко на брой публикации ще го ползваме. Само в този случай ние имаме гарантирано право, че никой друг няма да ползва същия имидж за нещо друго. Ако сме си купили снимка, която няма уредени права, ние сме си преценили риска, значи не е било за нещо важно, защото всеки друг би могъл да я закупи и да я заползва. Така че това е ситуацията.
Тоест преценявате риска и когато не е за нещо важно, може да е всяко лице.
Да, защото разликата в бюджета естествено, когато е за важна кампания, нещо, което ще използваме за комуникация на някаква важна услуга, естествено искаме да си уреждаме правата, за да знаем, че никой друг няма да използва тази снимка. Ужасно неприятно е да я видим една и съща снимка в наша реклама и на някой друг. Това е ситуация, която никой не би желал, но пък в същото време в имидж банките има такова многообразие от снимки и ситуации, че честно казвам не знам това колко често би могло да се случи.
Основно се занимаваме с изграждане на бранд идентичности, така че не толкова често, но се случва. И аз лично предпочитам да работя с фотографии заради автентичността, но понякога има случаи, когато нито има време, нито има бюджет. И тогава, например, за мен е много важно снимките да не миришат на купени от имидж банка. И тук вече се изисква малко по-художническо отношение в подбора и в избора на съдържанията. Но да, съгласна съм, че има голямо многообразие и понякога има страхотни снимки.
Добре, многообразие голямо има и в интернет, затова искам да върна разговора към Момчил Христов от дигитална агенция Next DC. Какъв е опитът ви с български фотографи или всъщност работите най-вече с фотографии на ваши, за кампании на публика, на обикновени хора?
Само първо да кажа, че съм Момчил Захариев. Да. Христо.
Момчил Христов е фотограф, затова извинявай за грешката, да.
На седмична база работим почти с фотографии или снимки от имидж банки, като това, което правим е, когато използваме имидж банки, обикновено по някакъв начин обработваме именно снимката, за да добие това, което Велина много добре описа като автентичност. А когато работим с фотографии, наистина това до известна степен помага за разпространението на снимките, тъй като до някаква степен самото име помага тя да се споделя и да намира своя път в социалните мрежи.
Разкажете за някои от кампаниите, които сте правили в онлайн.
Много интересна кампания, която направихме миналата година, беше с фотографа Васко Германов. Всъщност това, за което го наехме, беше да направи няколко гиф изображения, които бяха за фотосесия, за, така да го наречем, лайфстайл блог. Тоест направихме нещо нестандартно, тъй като там, където обикновено се показват статични изображения, ние показахме гифове, което до някаква степен получи известно отражение. Друг фотограф, който често ползваме, е Михаил Новаков, който всъщност до някаква степен доказва това, което Бен каза, че е хубаво да работиш в дигиталната сфера, защото е много достъпно и става бързо. Тоест, ние можем да му се обадим почти всеки ден и той да дойде да заснеме нещо, което веднага да публикуваме.
Аз имам един такъв въпрос към Енчо Найденов и другите фотографи, които снимат голи женски тела. Къде е границата между това, което прави един кадър подходящ за мъжко и за женско списание?
Малко не подготвяме.
И за реклама, да. Предоставили са такива ваши фотографии, аз съм виждал много за различни списания и за различни реклами. Къде е границата?
За рекламата има ограничения за това колко разголено тяло може да се ползва за реклама, особено за външно, така че не винаги може да бъде използвано. Границата зависи. Поръчвали сме кампания, където целта беше да направим провокация с цел да я спрат. Това беше заданието. Направете такива снимки, че да не ни ги свалят поради непригодност, но да стане такъв шум, че да спрат кампанията. Така че въпрос на задание, справихме се добре, но производителът не смогна да продаде водката. В смисъл, не можа да я произведе. Така че е въпрос на вкус, до каква степен те доста от снимките на Бен имат, може да нямат голота, но имат изявена, как да кажа, провокация и сексуална ориентация. Не, ориентация не е правилната дума, но сексуална насоченост. Така че не винаги, за да имаш изразена сексуалност, трябва да имаш голота.
I agree. I think, I mean, well, let's go to my nudie stuff, right? So, this magazine is provocative. It is nudes. I am centering a photo, just in case there were children here. There was an article written about the work we did because it's not retouched, and it was a woman's website that liked that we used larger models and non-traditional body types. And they said, this is what porn looks like without retouching in their headline. And I let it go because this magazine's been called that before. But then the comments, a lot of people chimed in, this isn't porn, this is art. They're nice photos. This isn't porn. Oh, I actually quite like this. This is important. This is important. This is important. People know when they're looking at porn. Porn is like really in your face. It's just like, it's presented to you as such. It literally sells nothing but parts, and it serves its purpose. But when we all see billboards with a provocative, beautiful image with someone covering themselves just enough, and I think that society has dictated the difference, but mostly I just agree with what he was saying about, there's a line, and I think that it's not a thin line, because I've gone down this road and shot nudes before, and I always feel like I'm a million miles away from entering a porn territory. So, it's not a dangerous, there's no danger zone. You're either shooting for art or fashion, or you're shooting porn.
Okay, thank you. Добре, мисля, че доста пълнокръвна дискусия стана с различни гледни точки от хората, които употребяват фотографии. Ако имате последни въпроси към Бен, да, има един-два въпроса. Защо?
Аз искам да попитам дали Бен е имал провали като фотограф и какво са се изразявали тези провали, какво е научил от тях. Мисля, че това е доста полезно за нас.
Is there a mic? Oh, thank you. Yeah, of course. I've had shoots not run in magazines. The ultimate insult with Vice used to be was when they're like, oh, we'll just post it to the website. You know, that's happened. And it's not even to necessarily always say it's a bad shoot. It's just sometimes not the right vibe, or it's not what you said you were going to do. And I'm talking about editorials now. Luckily, commercially, I've always been right there in the pocket. But because the process is so different. With editorial, there's the art side to it, where you can have a great concept, but it can really just fall short, and you know when it's happening. It's not like someone was like telling me later how I failed. I also think, you know, the things changed at MTV, as I was saying, with the PR people not really letting those shoots happen anymore. MTV.com's budget changed, where they didn't really want to have, they were just more interested in stock images, like Getty images, more than they were about commissioning shoots. But there was one day in particular where I used a pink backdrop behind a wrapper, and I think I got in trouble for that. I think his management didn't like it, and I think that was the last time I ever heard from MTV, despite the long relationship. I don't think that got me fired, but I think they just were questioning the decisions I started making. I think I was off-brand at that point. So that I consider something I always remember as a fail. And then, you know, I think the failures are in your personal work mostly, or maybe like doing a commercial job and not pushing things far enough and letting it be really boring and something you would never want to show anyone or acknowledge. Those are failures for me. But yeah, luckily, like no one's ever like kicked my ass for screwing up or anything like that.
Purely commercial photography, I'm not very knowledgeable, I'm aware, but talking about commercial photography, and I have clients and I see a lot of the branding going on, and now there is this new trend. I don't know if it's a new trend, could you please share a few words? For example, all the new fluid trademarks, they call them. For example, the MTV frame logo, where they use photographic images and fill up the frame of the MTV, or the absolute bottle that's they try to find the design of an absolute bottle in a photo image, or for example the modern Museum of Art and Design in New York, they do with the M logo. What do you think about it?
I think that, well, if I was the photographer on the campaign, I'd think it was fantastic. I think Pepsi was doing that with kind of collages of images, almost that looked like how I'm doing this, kind of just throwing things together. You know, I think that an ad agency is doing their research and presenting themselves to a market in a way that they have worked out. They've probably done a lot of research with focus groups to find out if it's an effective tool. So I appreciate that element of it, and I appreciate that maybe instead of using one image, they'll use a lot to represent a lifestyle. But just as a photographer with an ego somewhere deep down in there, I prefer to just have an unmanipulated giant billboard. It feels more authentic. Or it's, you know, it's almost like having a full page in a magazine versus having like a couple of little images on a page, which people do sometimes to save. They don't have enough advertising in the magazine, so they only have so many pages. And it's lackluster, to say the least, to have your image reduced or designed over. But you know, I've seen it be really effective too. So in terms of the absolute, you know, they're iconic ads. They were always cute. You know, I probably would, if it was my ad agency, I probably wouldn't have come up with that idea. That's it.
Ами, добре, ако няма повече въпроси, нека да аплодираме Бен отново, Бен Ритър.
Thank you.
Бен, припомням ви, е тук по покана на Мусиз и фондация Америка за България, VIVACOM Art Hall в кампанията и платформа Майстори на фотографията. Благодаря ви, приятна вечер.